Hi there! So for today's video we're going to use some of these lovely acrylic inks. Gorgeous assortment of colours there, a little bit wintry, a little bit autumnal maybe. We're also going to use this lovely mould which Wayne is demonstrating here. So it's going to be, the project today is going to be done by Wayne and myself. We'll sort of split it a bit here. He very kindly cast this pot for me when he did the pumpkin pot. If you haven't seen the pumpkin one, why not check it out from our playlist and you'll be able to see that. Now all he's doing here is just measuring out a eco-resin. So it's powder base where you add water to. So he measured out the amount he thought he needed to make both of these, the pumpkin pot and this other pot, which I have nicknamed the squirrel pot, for reasons that you will see soon. And he's added the water following the manufacturer's guidelines. We use Aquacast, which is made by Elichem. So once he's measured it all out, he uses a fork to mix it up, because we find that you end up with a nice a nice runny consistency with no lumps. That's what you're aiming for. It doesn't matter so much about the bubbles, but it's the lumps. So carefully pouring it into the mould, long steady stream. Sorry, you got a very big close-up there of Wayne's thumb. That is Wayne's thumb. I know it's not got the black polish on it. That will be changed soon. So carefully filling it all the way up, just almost up to the top there. And then, because it is eco-resin, you tap, 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 tap the side of the mould, and that encourages all those little air bubbles to come up to the surface and disperse. If they don't disperse, you can do what Wayne does there. Very light breath of air across the surface. Don't blow it forcefully because it'll go everywhere. You just lightly, and it will disperse them. They'll just burst like they're doing there. And then you can by all means lift it up, pop it down on the surface, lift it up, pop it down on the surface. Don't drop it from a great height, because obviously you're just asking for trouble and a lot of mess. If you've got a vibrating or agitating plate, by all means use that as well. But this mould has an exceptional amount of detail in it, so we're trying not to get any little bubbles caught in the casting process when it cures and so on. So once he was happy with that, he just topped it up to the top. There's a little something in it there that he's removing with a micro brush. He then did go around the rim of this pot with the micro brush just to make sure that there were no little bubbles just trapped around the edge there. There we are. A little bit more tap, tap, tap. You can never do too much tapping when it comes to using this kind of eco-resin. There we go. So just spend your time making sure that, you know, you've made every effort to make sure that there's no bubbles. So this is a good hour and a half to 2 hours later. Very easy to demold this, as you can see. You've already got glimpses there of the amount of detail on this lovely little pot. Easy to demold, gorgeous results. Look at the amount of detail there. Basically, you've got a couple of lovely little squirrels holding either a flower or perhaps it's nuts that he's collected. Got two gorgeous trees, lots of detail on the trunk and the leaves and the branches and grass and so on. So 24 hours later, handed over to me to have a go at painting it. Now, of course, you don't have to paint these if you don't want to. You can just sand down any rough edges that you're not happy with and then seal it with your sealant of choice, whatever you prefer, whether it's a spray-on varnish or whether it's a gloss sealer. There's lots available. If you check out our Amazon store, you'll be able to see the ones in there that we like to use. So what I'm doing here is I'm using some of those inks that you will have seen earlier in the video. I'm just literally dropping the smallest amount into these little plastic containers. You'll see more of those soon. And then just testing it on that piece of kitchen paper to see if it's the colour I want it. Is it pale enough? So this was supposed to emulate sky. The sky, not clouds and so on, just the sky. And so then using a pipette, just added some regular tap water to it, mixed it in and made sure, again, tested it, made sure it was the colour that I wanted. Now all I'm doing is applying it to this pot using a very fine, thin or small artist's paintbrush. just trying to get it on a little bit at a time, very much almost like a watercolour wash, if you like. Obviously don't soak the pot because this is a water-based eco-resin, and you do not want to find that suddenly your pot is disintegrating. Although if as long as you've left it 24 hours, it will take a lot before that actually happens. You'd have to leave it soaking for a few hours. So I wasn't happy with the first shade, so I added a bit more of that beautiful blue acrylic ink, mixed it up, and then this is time lapse of me actually painting in the sky in all the detail. So bits of this video we'll do our time lapses and are sped up because obviously I took my time to paint this, and before I knew it 3 hours had passed by and I'd finally got a finished pot, but it was very relaxing for me. So I am really happy with that. We've got a few little air bubbles there, and to be honest with you, I'm not bothered about those. I'm going to leave them as they are. Because don't forget, this is handmade with love. It's not mass produced. If you want something completely 100% perfect, go and buy it from a shop that buys them in wholesale, usually mass produced in factories and so on. These are all, obviously you're making it yourself. They're one-off creations. So they're going to have a few little perfectly imperfect, I think is probably the right way to describe them. So here's me using some more of those acrylic inks, just popping the colours, using a pipette, because these inks didn't have a pipette built into the lid, to just drop a couple of drops into the bottom of these little plastic containers, these mixing containers. Now, as I've said before, we don't really like using single-use plastics. Really don't really agree with it. However, we do recycle everything, and we do use these multiple times before we recycle them. So wasn't quite happy with that colour green, so added in another brand and mixed it up. Happy-ish with it. It's not really green enough for me, you know, like leaf green, dark leaf green. This one looks more bluey green to me. Again, same process with the brown. Wasn't quite happy with it. Added some black, and then it was too much, and then not enough, and yeah. So I added some more of the brown, and then was when I was happy. Here's a time lapse of me painting in the beautiful tree trunks and branches of these trees. They have got so much detail on them. I did find one little place where the aquacast hadn't managed to reach, but it doesn't matter. It just adds to the effect of the trunk on a tree. I mean, you're never going to get a perfect tree, are you? So I think that looks beautiful. Really lovely. Very pleased with that. Now, I would suggest, if you've never done this sort of thing before, and to be honest, until doing this, I hadn't really, never painted on aquacast before myself, leave it to dry. It won't take very long to dry at all. But then thought, right, let's tackle these leaves, so all the foliage. Now, originally I wanted to try and give it a bit of an autumn theme, because obviously that's what we've been doing recently in our projects, hence the addition in of the orange and the yellow, thinking that that would create a lovely effect with the leaves. And yes, it does to a degree, but I also thought the yellow was a bit too bright, so I went in again with some more orange. This is what you can see me doing here. So I'm trying to build up layers of colours. So you can see here, I've gone over a bit, unfortunately, there on the blue, so I will just go back and touch that up again with a bit more of the blue. It's okay. I'm not completely happy with it, I'll be honest. So I do go back off camera at a later stage before you see the end shots with the darker green and just go over it with the darker green again. So we're doing the grass now. Now, I thought this was just all grass to start with, and then I realised they've got some little flower heads, and they're not big, but then I thought, oh dear. I wonder what colour they're supposed to be. So I have opted to colour them in white. Now I did do 2 shades of green there. I think that other little creature by the tree trunk there on the right of it is possibly a rabbit, but I'm not 100% certain. But here we go, colouring in the squirrels now. Doing the same process. I'm starting off with a lighter colour and then building it up to get the darker colours. So over here in the UK, we don't have very many red squirrels. It's mainly the grey squirrel. But I quite like the idea of a reddish brown squirrel. So hence, that's why I'm using these colours. So again, just going over and applying it where I thought you'd get shade and light, if you were, same as if you were drawing something and colouring it in. Now my apologies for these next few clips with the lighting. I don't know what was going on. I painted this in the evening just as it was getting dark. So yeah, we've got a bit of shadow and it's not quite as brightly lit as it could be. But there we have Mr. Squirrel. Now, again, wasn't 100% happy with his colouring. So going back with some more of the orange and going in and just applying little bits. It literally is like using watercoloured paints. So little and repetition. Little, so you do a little at a time with the colour and repetition to try and build it up to the density, I think, or the vividness if you're using really bright colours, but to the actual shade that I wanted. Now, I'll be honest, I wasn't 100% happy with the outcome of this, but I thought for a first go, it wasn't bad. Let us know in the comments whether or not you've done anything like this before. You know, have you got any hints or tips or tricks that you'd like to share with us? Everything like that is welcome. And yeah, I do quite like the idea of just leaving them white, I think, or white and then just painting the sky element, or maybe just painting the trees perhaps, and then using a sealant and sealing it and leaving it like this, like that even. Or maybe you cast it using the white aqua cast and then you apply little bits of gold leaf to different detailed parts. That would be a lot of intricate work. This was a lot of intricate work, but doing that would be even more intricate, but might be quite good. I mean, obviously it depends on your aesthetic, what you want it to look at and so on, or look like, or a theme you've got, or if it's going to be a gift for somebody and what you think they might like. So just going back in again here now, I've got a little bit of more black mixed into the brown and just going in again over different parts, trying to create the detail and the shading there with him. Now there's a banding line around the top and the bottom of the pot, and I thought I'm just going to go in with this green. Now it's a bit too pale. I painted it all, I let it dry, I looked at it the following day and thought, no, that's too vivid, and then I went over it with the dark green that I'd made up, that you would have seen me use. And then once that was all completely dry, it was time to apply a sealant. I have to say, actually, just before I did apply the sealant, I did also do a little bit of outlining with a black fine-tipped acrylic pen in the eye area of the squirrel. Just wanted to make sure that was just popping a little bit. Can you see that at this point I also haven't gone back over the foliage on those branches, just to make them all more greens rather than oranges, because it wasn't quite working for me. But hopefully you can see where I've picked out the little white flowers, whether they're snowdrops or tulips, up to you how you interpret it. So Wayne kindly then coated it all in a couple of coats of spray polyurethane varnish. Make sure if you're going to do that you do it outside in a well ventilated area. It does make the colours a lot darker to start with, but then once they've dried, they're back to what you were expecting. Apologies again for the lighting on this. It was extremely difficult to film the end shots for this. I have no idea why, but we've got it surrounded by a lovely autumn leaf garland that's got lighting, and I think the lighting in the garland was the issue, but never mind. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you've joined us in the live premiere and joined in with the chat, it was really nice to talk to you today. If you're watching it later on, thank you for viewing it. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you've tried it. And if you've not subscribed to our channel, why not hit the subscribe button, notification all, and we'll see you again in a few days with another one. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.